That's it. Taxes, taxes, taxes. All the rest is bullshit, in my opinion.
To believe that we should not have billionaires.
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality.
Ever walked into the grocery store lately or filled up your gas tank and felt that knot in your stomach? Prices keep climbing, but for many, paychecks just aren't keeping up. It's a feeling of being squeezed, and it's leading more and more people to ask, why is wealth so concentrated at the top, and shouldn't we just redistribute it? Shouldn't the billionaires pay their fair share to fix all this? It's a powerful idea, one that dominates social media and political debates. But what if the very solution many are calling for could actually make things worse for everyone, potentially crippling the global economy? Today, we're diving deep into the true cost and consequences of wealth redistribution, and discovering what really builds a prosperous future for all. In this video, we'll explore what drives the demand to tax the rich, then uncover what are the hidden costs of wealth leveling, and finally, discover what's truly a better path to prosperity. So, why are people so fixated on wealth redistribution? We're breaking down the driving forces behind this modern obsession. Well, at the core of the widespread obsession with wealth redistribution lies a very real, very tangible shift in how wealth is distributed globally. The data paints a compelling picture, a consistent, decades-long trend where a larger and larger slice of the economic pie ends up with a smaller and smaller group of people. According to the OECD's income inequality data, which tracks economic disparities across many nations, income inequality has been steadily increasing. To put this in stark terms, consider the United States. The top 1% of households earned, on average, a staggering 139 times more than the bottom 20% in 2021, as reported by the Congressional Budget Office. This isn't just a gap. It's a chasm, naturally sparking questions about fairness and equality. This growing wealth gap hits different generations in profoundly distinct ways, shaping their outlook and fueling their demands. For many younger individuals, the path to what was once considered a normal, stable adult life, like owning a home or achieving financial independence, feels increasingly out of reach. Take housing, for example. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation highlighted a fascinating trend. In England, over the 2010s alone, there was an increase of 100,000 second homes, often purchased by those who already possessed significant wealth. Meanwhile, for young people without the benefit of inherited family wealth, finding an affordable first home has become a monumental struggle. Adding to this economic anxiety is the burden of student loan debt, a challenge faced by younger generations to a degree unprecedented in recent history. Combine this with real wages that simply haven't kept pace with the soaring costs of essentials like education and healthcare, and it creates a powerful feeling of being stuck. The Deloitte Global Gen Z and Millennial Survey 2025 quantifies this anxiety. Nearly half of Gen Z and Millennials do not feel financially secure. This deep-seated insecurity about their financial future explains why many look at the vast wealth concentrated at the top and ponder if a more equitable distribution could alleviate their struggles. And critically, social media acts as a potent amplifier for these ideas. As the Economic Times June 2025 noted regarding investment discussions, these platforms often show you more of what you already like or believe. So if you're concerned about economic inequality, your social feed will predictably serve up more content highlighting extreme wealth, discussions about billionaire taxes, and stories that reinforce the idea of a rigged game. This phenomenon, known as an echo chamber, creates a powerful collective narrative, making the obsession with a fair share feel even more widespread and urgent, fueling the popular demand for radical change. We've talked about why the idea of wealth redistribution is so appealing, but now let's flip the coin. What happens if we actually do try to eliminate billionaires or aggressively redistribute all that wealth? What are the real, often unseen, consequences for the global economy? First, let's talk about innovation. When we look at billionaires, especially the, quote, self-made ones, what do we often see? They're not just sitting on piles of cash like a dragon guarding gold. Their wealth, usually tied up in companies, investments, and ventures, often acts as the fuel for enormous innovation and risky projects. Think about companies pushing the boundaries of space travel, electric vehicles, or cutting-edge biotechnology. These are ventures that require massive upfront capital and a tolerance for risk that traditional companies or even governments might shy away from. As Faster Capital noted in April 2025, billionaires are often described as visionary and embracing risk-taking. When you strip away that concentrated capital, you dramatically reduce the capacity and incentive for these kinds of grand transformative projects. No big risks, no big rewards, and potentially no next-generation technologies that create new industries and millions of jobs. It's like draining the engine of progress. Now, let's imagine a country decides to impose a massive wealth tax, say annually. What happens? Does all that money just appear in the government's coffers ready to be distributed? Not exactly. You see, money is notoriously shy, and it hates being unwelcome. This leads us to capital flight. Wealthy individuals, faced with significant taxation on their entire net worth, don't just accept it. They have the means to move their assets and themselves to places where their wealth is treated more favorably. The Corporate Finance Institute points out that when France introduced a wealth tax, it experienced an exodus of wealthy individuals and their private capital. This isn't just a few people leaving, it's a significant drain on a nation's tax base, its investment pool, and its economic vitality. It means less money circulating in the local economy, less available for domestic businesses, and, ironically, less tax revenue for the government in the long run. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket from the top. No matter how much you pour in, it just keeps draining out the bottom. This capital flight, combined with the deterrent effect of high taxes, has a direct impact on investment and job creation. It's a common misconception that billionaires just have piles of cash sitting idle, like money under a mattress. In reality, their wealth is overwhelmingly invested in stocks, bonds, real estate, and crucially, in businesses. These investments are what fund the expansion of existing companies, the creation of new startups, and ultimately, the hiring of new employees. When you heavily tax wealth, especially through an annual wealth tax, you force entrepreneurs and investors to constantly liquidate their ownership in companies just to pay their tax bills. The National Taxpayers Union explained this back in 2020, stating that this discourages entrepreneurship and limits growth startups from raising the capital needed to thrive. Imagine trying to grow a small business into a large company when every year a chunk of its value is siphoned off for taxes, regardless of its profitability or liquidity. It effectively smothers businesses with the potential to transform the economy in the crib. Less investment means fewer new businesses, fewer expansions, and ultimately fewer jobs and lower wage growth for everyone. The very golden goose that lays the eggs of prosperity risks being killed. And finally, history offers us a sobering lesson. While the intentions behind wealth redistribution are often noble, extreme attempts at leveling wealth have frequently led to economic stagnation. We've seen countries that tried aggressive wealth taxes eventually abandon them because they simply didn't generate enough revenue and cause significant economic distortions. As democraticaudit.com mentioned in 2017, historically, only violent events have significantly lessened inequality in a radical way, implying peaceful, highly interventionist redistribution is often fraught with issues. The argument isn't that inequality should be ignored, but rather that certain solutions can paradoxically make everyone poorer, not richer. It's a fundamental economic principle. Policies that severely punish success or remove incentives for productive investment often lead to a shrinking pie for everyone, not just a more equally divided one. So if taking from the rich isn't the answer, what truly builds a stronger economy for everyone? We've explored the allure of wealth redistribution and the real anxieties driving it. But if confiscating wealth from the top risks killing the very engines of our global economy, what are the better solutions? How can we create a more prosperous society without the devastating fallout of economic leveling? The answer lies not in slicing the existing pie thinner, but in growing a bigger pie for everyone. The most powerful tool for reducing inequality isn't a government transfer. It's empowering the individual to earn their own wealth. Think about it. A one-time handout might offer temporary relief, but it doesn't build long-term capacity. What does build lasting prosperity is investing in people's skills and education. For instance, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported for the first quarter of 2025 that full-time workers aged 25 and over with a bachelor's degree earned a median of $1,489 per week. Contrast that with those who only had a high school diploma, earning a median of $901 per week. That's almost 65% more in weekly earnings simply by investing in education. As EHL Insights reminds us, education is a powerful social elevator. When individuals gain marketable skills, they increase their earning potential, reduce poverty rates themselves, and even contribute more in taxes. This strategy builds lasting wealth for families and the nation, a far cry from the temporary fix and economic disruption of wealth redistribution. Next, we must focus on unleashing economic engines, fostering entrepreneurship and dynamic free markets. True job creation and poverty reduction don't come from government mandates on how to redistribute wealth, but from individuals starting new businesses and innovating. These are the ventures that hire people, develop new products, and adapt to changing needs. Research, including studies on entrepreneurship's role in poverty alleviation in 2025 from ResearchGate, consistently shows that entrepreneurial activity has a positive and significant relationship with improvements in human development indices. This means when people are empowered to start businesses, they actively lift themselves and their communities out of poverty by creating value and jobs, rather than just waiting for wealth to trickle down or be distributed. Policies that encourage this growth, by reducing unnecessary barriers and fostering a competitive environment, are vastly superior to redistribution schemes that penalize success and stifle the very ambition that creates jobs. A cornerstone for any thriving economy, benefiting everyone, from the smallest startup to the largest corporation, is the absolute guarantee of strong property rights and the rule of law. This isn't just about protecting the rich, it's about providing the fundamental security that encourages all investment and innovation. As the World Bank unequivocally states, secure property rights are essential for economic development as they provide the foundation for investment, innovation, and economic growth. When individuals and businesses know that their hard-earned assets, whether it's a small shop, a farm, or a factory, are safe from arbitrary seizure or unpredictable taxation, they are far more likely to invest, expand, and create jobs. Conversely, the mere threat of aggressive wealth redistribution or a sudden change in property laws undermines this trust. It sends a chilling message that what you earn or build today could be taken tomorrow, leading capital to flee and innovation to stall. We've seen countries struggle economically precisely because they lacked this fundamental bedrock of economic trust. Finally, headlines scream, "Tax the rich," and the sentiment is powerful. Yet beneath the surface, we find a complex economic reality that attempts at radical wealth redistribution, while well-intentioned, often come with severe, unintended consequences for innovation, investment, and job growth. Our journey today has shown that true societal betterment lies not in punitive measures, but in empowering individuals, unleashing entrepreneurial spirit, and upholding the fundamental principles that allow economies to flourish for everyone. It's about understanding the mechanics of prosperity, not just its distribution. If you're ready to look beyond the simplistic narratives and delve into the real economic levers that create wealth for all, subscribe to our channel. There's so much more to uncover.